Quilty is brought to you by
APQS, handcrafted quilting machines. Aurifil. Aurifil Italian thread, perfectly suited for all your quilting projects. Baby Lock, for the love of sewing.
Havels Sewing. When you need to cut it close, choose Havels.
Moda. Make something quilty with Moda fabrics.
Hello out there in Internet TV Quilty land. I'm Mary Fons and you're watching Quilty, and we're happy that you are watching Quilty. And if you want to, while you are at your computer, right after the show, may I recommend visiting, it's the Quilty website, heyquilty.com. Or you might click over to the Quilty Facebook page. Quilty. Lots of good things on there, and we really like all your feedback and all of that. Okay, so today's show is all about charm packs and these sort of ways that you buy fabric at the fabric store and online that are really cool. They're really helpful. This is not something that's been around forever. Women in the 1800s did not go to their dry goods store and buy a jelly roll, okay? It would have been cool if they could have, but there wasn't enough fabric for that, and they didn't work that way. These kinds of cuts, they're called pre-cuts. They are made by lots of different fabric manufacturers. Of course, we really like Moda's pre-cuts, and I'll tell you another reason why we really like Moda's pre-cuts the best. But we quilters like to buy these pre-cuts because they're pre-cut, right? The way that you can use these, aside from just building your stash with a lot of lots and lots of different fabrics, which is a good reason to buy these fat quarter bundles or these jelly rolls or these layer cakes, right? They all have really neat names. This is called candy. The reason that we buy these is because there are tons and tons of projects that you can do that you never have to cut a piece of fabric. You can make a whole quilt out of something like this without busting out your rotary cutter or your scissors for the most part. And then there's other quilt projects that you can do that you just cut a little bit from this. So it's a way for people who are beginning to do a slightly easier project. It's also a way for you to do something really fast, because I'm going to show you an example. There are lots of different things you can do with these pre-cuts. So many, in fact, and the reason that I actually had my iPad up is that Moda has something called the Bake Shop. And on Moda's Bake Shop, they give you all kinds of free patterns to use with these pre-cuts, okay? So all kinds of things, like this pillow right there, total pre-cut project. So go to modabakeshop.com and you can find all those good kinds of things. Okay, so I'm going to show you something really quick to do, or just how this kind of works. Okay, so let's say, so I didn't even put my cutting mat out for this show. If you'll notice, it's not even out because we don't need it. So if you wanted to make two big half square triangles, I'm going to use this contrasting fabric here. And a lot of times, see, these, they have in the same sort of colorway or the same kind of, same fabric line. They're always really going to be from the same fabric line, unless you go to a quilt shop and they've bundled their own fabrics in a special way. You're going to find, jelly rolls and layer cakes coming from one kind of one fabric line, okay? Shades of black. See what they did there? So here we are. Let me grab the right thing and put this messily to the side. Sorry, stack it there. Okay, if you put your right sides together on this table here, all I need to do, may I have a ruler, please? Ruler from the set, from the crew. I don't know how it got lost, but that's okay. That's what you're all here for, right? My little sister is coming under the table. Are you coming? Are we gonna do it this way? Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Look at that.
All the way.
We have fun. Okay, so I'm gonna put my ruler down across my pre-cut piece. I'm gonna get it all lined up here, okay? And let's just say that I want, some half square triangles. This ruler is barely big enough, but it is big enough. Okay, I'm gonna draw a line down the center with my ceramic marking pencil. Okay, whoosh. I'm going to move my ruler a 1/4 inch from that line and make another line, okay? And I'm going to do it one more time on this side. It's pretty faint. The thing about these big pieces, too, is that you can make a pretty large quilt really, really fast, because the bigger your pieces are, and that's a rule in general, the bigger your pieces are, the quicker your quilt goes together. I mean, if you have tons and tons of small pieces, you have to sew all those pieces together. If you have really, really big pieces, you don't. I mean, you have to sew them together, but you get more bang out of your buck. Okay, now I am going to sew on the outside lines that I drew. I'm just going to fire this through. It's a long seam, so you want to have your make sure you're kind of keeping things lined up. You don't want stuff to start shifting. You could put a couple pins in this, actually. Wouldn't be a terrible idea. Okay, I'm gonna cut it. Great. So I'll press it. Now I would flip it around and sew that other line that I made, but just in the interest of time, because I have another thing to show you before the show is done. So I set my seam. Now, because I don't have my cutting mat out, I'm gonna actually cut this with scissors, which is kind of exciting because I don't do that very often. Okay, now I'm gonna cut this apart, and I've got this 1/4 inch seam, because I'm slicing down the center line. No, is it perfect? No, it isn't, but does it matter that much? No, because it's gonna be the seam allowance. So then I would, take it to my pressing surface, open it up, and look at that. That's like, wow, I didn't cut those squares. They were pre-cut for me, and now I have this really huge block, and I mean, if you make 10 of these, you've already got a pretty good size quilt, okay? I would suggest making like 20 of them, because I always recommend making bigger quilts, because they're more fun to like cuddle under, right? Snuggle under. If you make, tiny quilts all the time, then you can't use them. Okay, so the last thing to show you is, included, use my words, included on that bake shop site and on lots of blogs and lots of magazines like Quilty magazine and all kinds of things. You'll have projects all over the place. People love posting new projects and selling patterns for these little guys. So I made a pin cushion. I made this pin cushion out of a stack of candy. Not this one, obviously. It's different fabrics. But I made this pin cushion and I used candy, and the only thing that I had to cut was some binding fabric, and then I had some backing fabric that I used. But like, it's really cool, and I just found it online. I adapted it a little bit, so this pattern isn't in the magazine, and we're not going to post it anywhere because it's kind of just like, it's everywhere. A pin cushion out of Moda candy is everywhere. But I made my own adaptation of that, and I filled it with flaxseed. And that's like the best. I didn't know. They didn't tell me to use flaxseed for it, but I got to tell you, it works out really perfectly for the pincushion filling, So just thought I'd bring out the birdseed. I think I'll eat some. Thanks for joining us on Quilty. Usually I put this in juice, but I think, it might be good on its own. It's very nutty. Okay, we'll see you next time. Thanks for letting me be nutty. Bye.
Quilty is brought to you by
APQS, handcrafted quilting machines. Aurifil Italian thread, perfectly suited for all your quilting projects. Baby Lock, for the love of sewing.
Havel's Sewing. When you need to cut it close, choose Havel's.
Moda, make something quilty with Moda fabrics.